A lot of things going on. I wanted to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Ghana. And I wanted to ask you how you felt about it. And so I'm going to put out the number 866-801-8255. I have a couple of thoughts. One, I'm glad that Vice President Kamala Harris is in Ghana. She left on Tuesday. I'm glad that she's there with a lot of amazing people like Shirley Ralph. They're all kind of folk. I think I saw Mark Morial. I mean, they have a whole gathering. That's Urban League. I guess they had Idris Alba is there. I saw him standing behind Shirley Ralph smiling because she's going to tell you that her voice is everything. And it is. She's powerful. I have questions, though. On one hand, and this is just me really asking, because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, right? Is it pandering? Is it pandering? Like what's the goal? Okay, it's relationship building. Yeah, I think we need relationships, but do we need cobalt and lithium more? I don't know. Like, are we there for relationships? Are we there for the resources? And yes, there's a lot of talk about China going into Africa. And, there's gold, there's diamond, there's cobalt, there's everything, every lobster. You got everything. It's the birthplace of civilization, for crying out loud. So it has all of the resources are right there. Oil, everything is right there on this continent of Africa. So, of course, people are there. People are there. When George Bush came, he built a highway that is still the only one of the few highways that's drivable. It was built because the president's like, I'm coming. I need to be able to get around and keep my teeth in my head and not lose a spleen on these roads because they are rough. I promise you, my driver lost his side view mirror, ended up in a ditch trying to make a U-turn. It was terrible. The roads are bad, but not the George W. Bush road. It is pristine. It is there. So are we coming bearing gifts? Should they be aware? I'm conflicted, right? Because all over the continent, there's like some human rights violations. What are we doing is what I want to know. Like, what's our goal there? So Vice President Kamala Harris, she went to the Cape Coast Castle at Elmina, where we've talked about. I just talked with Gail Bean from Snowfall and P Valley about that. By the way, I watched an episode last night. Spoiler alert for the funeral of Jerome. And there was a scene where I think I saw Uncle Clifford sitting behind Louis. I was like, so they're doing crossover events right in real time. But yes, there was, I think, episode 3 or 4, Snowfall went to Ghana. And I was like, I remember being there, and Gail Bean was like, we were there, and it was powerful. And so many people have visited. I know Steve Harvey has this whole video thing where he went and cried in the castles. And that same castles, I saw Vice President Kamala Harris and her husband walking in this death camp is what it was before they put our ancestors on ships. Many months sometimes passed, a lot of carnage, a lot of death. You can still smell it. It is still horrific. And the echoes, the horrors still haunt that place. So I'm glad that she went there. I know she felt some ways. So here's what she said. She gave a speech. We are looking forward to this trip as a further statement of the long and enduring, very important relationship and friendship between the people of the United States and those who live on this continent. She said this, and she said, because of this history, this continent, of course, has a special significance for me personally as the first Black vice president of the United States. And this is a history, like many of us, that I learned as a young child. So she's assuring that this is a new chapter in the America-Africa partnership, and she's looking for a future that is propelled by African innovation. There's a lot of innovation in Africa. She said, we must invest in the African ingenuity and creativity, which will unlock incredible economic growth and opportunities. Yes. She also shared that the United States needs to focus on not what, quote, we can do for African partners, but what we can do with our African partners. Yes. These are all great words. And the Ghanaian president, prime minister was like, yeah, don't, I know there's a lot of talk about China, but everybody wants to come here because we got a lot of resources. And so we welcome everybody. We're going to listen to everybody.